Could 7 days of care notes change your VA caregiver interview? Professor Kowalski is here to separate the questions people fear from the evidence VA actually evaluates. Stay with us. Before we finish, we'll build one page that keeps two truthful accounts from sounding contradictory.
This interview measures care, not performance. Families hear assessment and start searching for the perfect sentence. Nobody needs a perfect sentence. VA needs a clear account of what happens on an ordinary Tuesday.
Today, we're going deeper into the PCAFC evaluation, the sequence, the 3 care need pathways, and how to prepare without coaching anyone.
Start with the recurring task. Medication prompting every morning is evidence. He has a serious condition may be true, but it doesn't tell the evaluator what the caregiver does.
Then connect the task to function or safety. Who notices the missed dose? Who redirects the stove mistake? Who helps with dressing and how often? Those details aren't undignified. They're the care story.
Identical rehearsed answers can be less useful than 2 honest perspectives. Agreement on events matters. A 7-day log gives both people concrete events, matching every adjective doesn't.
The governing question is whether the veteran needs at least 6 continuous months of in-person personal care through hands-on help with activities of daily living, supervision or protection, or regular and extensive instruction or supervision. A diagnosis alone doesn't answer that question.
Preparation isn't coaching. Preparation means checking the calendar and medication routine. It also means reviewing mobility, help, and safety events so stress doesn't erase them. Coaching means deciding in advance which conclusion everybody must repeat. Those are separate activities.
And no phrase guarantees approval. The real Form 1010CG gives the caregiver applicant a separate section. That's a reminder to identify the actual applicant, not hunt for magic wording. The Caregiver Support Program team still applies the full eligibility criteria to the complete evaluation.
Families also understate care. Habit makes extraordinary work feel ordinary.
That's why the consequence question matters. If the caregiver didn't provide the prompt or physical assistance, what would happen to the veteran's ability to function safely? Ask the same about protection. The answer should describe the likely event, not inflate it.
Emma, I would put one sentence at the top of every preparation page. Do not minimize care because love made it routine, and do not exaggerate care because the benefit matters. Name the work exactly as it
happened. Cynthia, say the question families are almost embarrassed to ask.
Not embarrassed, worried. Should the veteran and caregiver practice until they give exactly the same answers?
No, prepare the facts, not a performance. VAProfessorErica.com has free guides to organize the questions. Coming up, the official 7-stop path, and the point where a good interview still isn't final approval. One thing before the next part, and then we move right on. If any of this is clicking, tap that like, hit subscribe, and ring the bell for the next one. It takes a second, it costs nothing, and it helps more than you would think. No matching script. Not quite one appointment. The application starts a multi-step evaluation. The official path has 7 stops.
That matters emotionally. A second call can feel like somebody doubted the first one. Often it simply means the team has moved from intake to the next assessment, which has its own purpose.
Application first. The veteran and caregiver submit Form 1010CG jointly. The application may name 1 primary family caregiver, with up to 2 secondary family caregivers.
Then intake and caregiver assessment. The local Caregiver Support Program team reviews basic eligibility and learns who is applying, what care is being provided, and whether the application can move forward.
Wait, caregiver assessment sounds like a test of whether somebody is loving enough.
It isn't a character grade. It asks whether the caregiver can perform the needed care safely and reliably.
Safely, that's the word I wanted. So the team is checking ability and well-being, not awarding points for family devotion.
Correct. And that word carries us into the Veteran Functional Assessment Instrument. I was going to call it Step 4, but let me be precise. It's one of the clinical evaluation components, and the sequence can involve more than one contact as VA measures daily function.
The instrument looks at daily function and need for personal care. Emma, the next two obligations matter because families sometimes treat approval as if it happens before them.
Caregiver training and the home care assessment are required before final approval. The home assessment happens in the veteran's home with the veteran and caregiver applicants. It evaluates caregiver competence and the veteran's well-being.
So tidy counters aren't the assignment. Show how care actually works in that home. Do all of those stops happen in one marathon appointment?
No, they are distinct process steps, and scheduling can create separate contacts. If the veteran and caregiver are interviewed separately, each applicant should answer from first-hand knowledge. Nobody needs to guess what the other applicant said between calls.
Keep one process log. Write the date and caller, then write the step and next action.
That little log changes the feeling. Instead of VA called again, something must be wrong, you can write caregiver assessment completed, functional assessment is next. The paperwork becomes a sequence rather than a cloud.
Also note who still needs training and whether the home assessment has been scheduled. My 10K PACE plan has conditional formatting to the second. This process log needs less. Date, step, and next action. Those aren't clerical decorations. They're published parts of the eligibility process and can explain why a file hasn't reached final review.
Exactly. Final review follows. Then VA sends a written decision. The published process says the eligibility decision will be made within 90 days after VA receives the application.
90 days is VA's published process target, not a promise that every family's scheduling and evidence path will feel identical. Before we get to the one-page preparation guide, the sharper question is what all those evaluators are actually measuring. Professor Kowalski is still with us because 70% is the PCAFC rating threshold. It isn't automatic approval.
A rating measures service-connected disability. This review asks what hands-on care another human must provide.
6 continuous months is the duration floor. Not 6 good weeks, not a temporary recovery period. The need for in-person personal care must be expected to continue for at least 6 months.
Then come 3 lanes.
Lane 1 is hands-on help with an activity of daily living. Examples include bathing and dressing. They also include toileting or mobility. Feeding and help adjusting a prosthetic or orthopedic appliance can qualify when the veteran cannot complete that activity independently.
I almost said doing things for them. No, too vague. Say which daily activity, what part requires hands-on help, and how often it happens.
Lane 2 is supervision or protection. This isn't ordinary companionship. It's an ongoing need to maintain safety. That may mean redirecting a dangerous action or preventing wandering. It may mean responding to impaired judgment or monitoring a recurring risk. Lane 3 is regular or extensive instruction or supervision without which the veteran's ability to function in daily life would be seriously impaired. These are separate pathways. Each needs observable facts and frequency. Each also needs the consequence when help is absent.
The same medication routine can illustrate more than one lane. Opening a bottle and placing the correct dose in the veteran's hand may be hands-on help. Repeatedly cueing the sequence may be instruction. Preventing an unsafe duplicate dose may be
Protection. We already ran this experiment. Same pill, new care work.
Don't choose the lane that sounds most serious. Choose the lane the facts support, then describe the actual frequency. If a task crosses lanes on different days, say what changed and why the help changed with it.
The evaluation isn't improved by forcing every example into one category. Clear examples let the team assess whether the overall care need satisfies the program's standards.
Safety isn't a synonym for worry.
Right, I'm always worried is human. The evaluator still needs the event, what risk appears, and what the caregiver does. Then explain what happens without that protection.
For instruction or supervision, log the sequence the caregiver supplies. Does the veteran need repeated cueing to begin, continue, or safely complete a task? How much prompting is required? What breaks down when the prompting stops?
Diagnosis labels don't do that work.
Which leaves the uncomfortable part. If the veteran and caregiver remember the same week differently, how do they answer without creating a contradiction? Coming up, Cynthia will turn that problem into 4 fields you can write on 1 page.
They agree on events, not a script. One account may describe the prompting. The other may remember the fear or fatigue. The care notes should explain the same need from each speaker's truthful vantage point.
Keep the event shared and let each speaker own the part they actually observed. That's the bridge into Cynthia's 4-field answer. They agree on events, not identical wording. Separate vantage points are not contradictions when the underlying care is the same.
The veteran may remember the frustration. The caregiver may remember the 3 prompts and the pill still sitting in the cup. Both accounts can be true.
Name the task first. Medication prompting is more useful than I help all day.
Add frequency with units. 3 prompts each morning means something, often hides the measurement. I printed the official process sheet, and even its boxes force us back to specific functions rather than adjectives.
Before we add the consequence, watch several kinds of home care a log might capture. The footage moves from respite into supervised exercise, then wheelchair help and medication management. The point isn't that every family does all 4. The footage makes several forms of help visible. Your notes should name only
the help your family gives. Show the work, skip the performance.
Then add what happens without the help. Start with the task and frequency. Add the help given. Finish with the consequence. That 4-part chain is the interview answer because it connects a repeatable event to function or safety. Take our 58-year-old veteran. Her log shows medication prompting every morning for 7 days. Twice, a missed prompt led to an unsafe missed dose. That is clearer than saying, I manage everything.
Use the same structure for physical help. Transfer help is the task. Every morning and evening is frequency. One person stabilizes the veteran from bed to walker is help given. Without stabilization, the veteran loses balance is the consequence.
The veteran might say, I can stand. The caregiver might answer, yes. I position the walker and steady the first step. Those statements do not automatically conflict. Together, they describe what independence looks like with assistance in place.
A real conflict changes the event. Writing a slim history of my village pub, 400 years, 3 fires, 1 ghost claim, taught me that daily and never send you to different archives.
If you notice a genuine mismatch while preparing, do not invent a compromise number. Check the calendar or dated notes. If the evidence is still unclear, say what each witness remembers and why certainty is limited. Accuracy includes honest uncertainty.
2 missed doses, not sometimes.
The question I keep coming back to is, what if our truthful answers sound inconsistent?
Variation in detail is expected. A contradiction is a material conflict about the care event, not one witness remembering the emotion while the other remembers the clock. Never erase truthful perspective to manufacture identical lines.
Write the week down before memory rounds its edges.
And that brings us to the 1 page that turns a stressful interview into a guide you can actually use. The 1-page care log starts with 7 ordinary days, not the family's worst day and not an unusually easy week.
Ordinary is useful. It reveals the pattern.
Record the task and frequency on each row. Use counts and units. 2 transfers each morning, 3 medication prompts per day, 1 nighttime safety check every 2 hours.
1 clean step. Mark the help type. Is it hands-on help, prompting, or supervision and protection? Plain language is welcome. The detail you can't leave out is
the consequence without help. 1 sentence. Finally, list a source or witness who may corroborate the pattern later. That might be an appointment summary or medication list. It might be a clinician note or relevant non-VA document. It is a source list, not a suitcase of paper mailed with the initial form.
A nighttime row might start at 1:30 in the morning. The front door alarm sounded. The caregiver redirected the veteran to bed and remained awake until the veteran settled. That row contains an event. Poor sleep does not explain the protection another person provided.
A morning row may be completely different. Record what happened rather than copying yesterday's wording. Repetition is evidence when the care repeats. Copy and paste is a problem when it hides changes in frequency or assistance.
This is a care log, not a sales brochure.
And mistakes are repairable. If you wrote the wrong time, cross it out once and add the correction. A transparent correction is more trustworthy than a page rewritten to look flawless.
For corroboration, list only what really exists. A medication list may confirm the regimen, but it does not prove who prompted each dose. A clinician note may support a functional limitation, while the care log supplies the household frequency.
Pause right here and grab a blank page. I'll wait. Make 5 columns. Write the task and frequency first. Add help type and consequence without help. Finish with what can corroborate it later.
PTSD severe is a label. 3 nighttime safety checks after wandering episodes is evidence of care.
The question I would write in the margin is, should we mail all the medical records with Form 1010CG?
No, VA's application page says not to send medical records with the initial application. That instruction prevents a common pile of paper mistake.
Later is different. During evaluation, VA may accept relevant non-VA records. Keep the source list ready, then provide records when the team asks or when the evaluation step permits them.
Initial form, no medical records. Evaluation, relevant records may follow.
That is the page we promised. 1 truthful week, 5 columns, and no coach scripts. Send this to the caregiver who shares that 7-day week with you. The same 5 fields can keep both memories tied to the work.
Professor Kowalski is back with us. After the interviews, which training and review steps still remain before a PCAFC decision?
Families can mistake the last interview for the finish line. It isn't.
Caregiver training must be completed. The caregiver also has to demonstrate the ability to perform the required care and participate in the home care assessment.
My prediction, completed training leads to home review.
Yes, the home care assessment happens in the veteran's home with the veteran and caregiver applicants. It looks at caregiver competence and the veteran's well-being.
Change 1 input. Suppose the interviews went well, but required training is incomplete. Does the file move to final approval anyway?
No, the required step is still missing.
After the required evaluations and training are complete, the home assessment must also be complete. The file then goes through final eligibility review. VA issues a written decision.
Right, and if that written decision is a denial, it is not a moral judgment on the veteran or caregiver. It means VA found that 1 or more program criteria were not established by the reviewed evidence.
Before the close, meet the person behind all these forms. Jim Sursley speaks on camera about life as a disabled veteran.
A long care story is still built 1 ordinary day at a time.
Yeah, that is why the 7-day log matters. To borrow Lewis's word, it catches the care math before stress flattens every day into always or never.
Here's what I'd actually do. Keep 5 actions together. Use Form 1010CG and log 7 days. Map the care to a qualifying pathway. Keep later records available. Stay connected to the local caregiver support program team.
If the written decision is favorable, keep the care log current. Daily needs change, and a later review is easier when the family did not stop documenting on decision day.
If the decision is unfavorable, read the written reasons before deciding what evidence or review path matters next. Separate a missing program criterion from a factual mistake. They are different problems and may require different responses.
The local caregiver support program team remains the first program contact for process questions. Keep the decision letter, dates of contact, and the version of the materials that was evaluated
Together. Don't argue with a decision you haven't read.
Right, read first, then ask a precise question. Which eligibility requirement did VA find missing? And what evidence did the decision say it considered? That keeps the next conversation anchored to the actual letter.
That preparation is work worth being proud of.
Thank you for letting us handle a private family subject with you. The takeaway is simple. Document the care task before stress turns a week into a blur.
If this gave you a calmer way to prepare, like the video and subscribe for the next VA benefits guide. Last question. Which daily care task is hardest for your family to explain in exact terms? Write the week, keep the facts, and take good care of each other. I'll see you next time.